All right, guys, we got here this brand new Ribble Ultra SLR frame set custom build up with some hunt wheels. This is a size small, weighing at 18 pounds, 11 ounces, and in kilos, 8.47 kilos. Stay tuned to free buy sentence on these hunts. Grabs this. Hey, how's it going, everyone? GC Performance here, back with another video, and today I have you guys this insanely beautiful Ribble Ultra SLR bike. This was a custom built frame that the customer ordered from EU directly. In today's video, we're going to talk about what's going on with this bike, what makes it so special, and also the whole overhaul of the build. So hopefully you guys stay tuned and enjoy. So just to start off with, a couple things about this bike. This bike is a EU company. You can actually order them direct as a consumer straight to your doorstep. This guy did that. In fact, he ordered this frame, which the frame price on this bike is not so bad. The frame is included the body of the frame, the handlebar and stem, and also the seat posts, and it retails on their website for 3,300 euros. And that is considered their top tier frame set that they actually offer and actually make in their Aero frame set. So 3,300 euros compared to all these other companies out there for 5,500, 6,500. You're getting top tier quality by a company called Ribble for $3,300 for their frame set. They also do offer complete bike buildups. I believe their race model is $9,000. They have a mechanical Ultegra version for $4,500, and they have a 105 Di2 version with carbon wheels and everything built up for like $4,800 with the same exact frame configuration. But obviously the first thing that sticks out about this bike is the paint job. And Ribble, when they first came out with this bike, they claimed this to be one of the most aerodynamic bikes on the market, if not the most aerodynamic bike on the market. And it all starts off here. But what makes this bike so special is the handlebar, stem, and cockpit, the one-piece configuration. This is a full carbon fiber configuration. As you can see, there's no tape on here. It definitely has an interesting shape to it as well. And like I mentioned before, when you do buy the bike, you can choose your stem length and your handlebar width as well. But they developed this bike with the hoods being very narrow. This is a small size frame, so I believe it's a 36 centimeter from point to point. And then it flares out on the bottom to like a 40. If I'm a large, I'm 6 foot, I think they give you a 38 on the tops, which you're seeing more and more companies like the Trek Madonna I just showed you going to this more narrow hood position for the bars. They're coming out with these narrow positions for the hoods, much wider for the flare-outs on the drops as well, and they're all trying to do that by achieving better aerodynamics for the rider and for the bike in general. But this is what makes this bike special, what they proclaim it does. This is their DRZ. This is called their drag reduction zone. So this big chunky piece of carbon right here that we can see, as you're pedaling and rotating your knees and doing a pedal stroke, they consider this like a bunch of dirty air. You as a person on the bike is the most unaerodynamic thing on the bike. So they developed this handlebar to a point where they make it where the wind hits here, right? Then it goes up and goes down and makes the wind go down as well to kind of help with that dirty air configuration. So that way when the rider is spinning and turning the cranks in there, that they allow the aerodynamics to work a little bit better. Now this is Ribble's numbers themselves. This is what Ribble complained or proclaimed. So I'm gonna tell you exactly what they said. So because of that handlebar system right there, they're saying that you're getting a 2.1% net drag reduction for the bike and rider, which translates over to 23.2 seconds faster while traveling at 22 miles an hour over 40 kilometers. Again, this is compared to their handlebar, the previous generation of the handlebar. So they're saying that's a pretty big average. I mean, you gotta think first and second place and third place are usually differ between seconds. So to get a full 23 seconds over the competition is pretty quick. But obviously you have to take everything these manufacturers say with a grain of salt and choose the bike that fits you best for that situation. But we cannot lie, the bike looks aero. The bike looks super fast. You guys saw the weight itself, almost 19 pounds. You have a very deep aero section here on the head tube. You have a massively deep bottom bracket section here. This almost looks like a tri-bike, the size of this carbon. They really stiffen up that bottom bracket section to make it horizontally stiff. And then even the T section for the dropouts, these things are huge, massive. Tire clearance on this bike is 700 by 32C, but this bike looks very familiar to me. It reminds me of a Venge Vice. The this T shape in the back reminds me of a T1500, but they just basically made these sections deeper with the UCI rule change to allow more carbon to be added in different areas as well. But I will say this, me riding the Venge Vice, I've talked about this before, this was one of my favorite bikes for Florida. It was a tank, it was very fast, it was very heavy. But when I was in a group ride doing 26, 28 miles an hour behind someone, that bike would hold speed effortlessly. And when riding and having my feet on the pedal stroke, on a flat surface, when you're behind someone, it felt like you just needed to just basically spin, a nice easy cadence. It didn't feel like you're grinding against anything. It felt like the bike could effortlessly go. I got a feeling this is exactly how this bike feels. I only got to ride it around the block a couple times. It's heavy, yes. It's very stiff. You got deep dish wheels on here. Even this bike knows it's only meant to go in a straight line. It has turn blockers to only stop it to go right there. So the bike's meant to go in a straight line. I don't think it's the best for crit races, but this bike is extremely fast, I would think, for top end speed. I mean, I got a feeling it's gonna perform very well. But without further ado, let me go ahead and show you guys off this whole bike, talk about the color. The color is stunning on this bike. It's absolutely beautiful. The customer says that he gets head turns all day. And I wanted to say that as well. Huge shout out to the customer for bringing it by to me for doing a video. I will tag his Instagram down below if you guys have any questions about the buying process to get into the United States. If you guys have any questions about this whole build and setup, you can see it is a Florida bike. He swapped out chainrings and put a 54 tooth on there. You have a nice small cassette on the back as well. He did say that when you bought the frame, it was $3,300. Yes, $3,300 euros, but he did have to pay import fees to get in here, so he did pay those as well. So if you guys have any questions, you guys can go ahead and either ask me down below, or I will put his Instagram down there so you guys can drop a follow. But without further ado, let's get into this whole bike build overview. So starting off with the handlebar and cockpit center on here. This is Ribble's own proprietary integrated system. Like I said before, a 36 centimeter from point to point. We have a 40 centimeter from point to point on the dropouts. Again, this is how it's supposed to be. Meant to be with no handlebar tape on here. You have the handlebar tape going down here. No bar end plugs. That's just a solid piece of carbon right there as well. You can see, I like what they do here. They have the shiny, sparkly paint on here, but on these certain sections, like behind the bar, it's like a brushed silver, which looks cool. On the down tube right here, it's like a brushed silver, looks really cool. The Ribble logo, they did a great job. You do have a spot for an integrated mount system right here as well. They can go and drop a Garmin or a light on here, which you need. For the shifter setup on here, he has the Dura-Ace 9000 or 9100, 11 gears in the rear, 2 in the front. The old school Dura-Ace still works phenomenal. Very nice choice of components on here. In the front, we have the Ribble logo, and then look at the width of this bike. Look at the commanding width on the fork. The thing looks huge, man. It looks like you could fit a 38C tire in there, but they say max tire clearance on here is a 32C. We have a Ribble logo going all the way down. The massive chunk of carbon blade for the side fork. The wheels that the customer chose to put on here are the Hunt. I'm not too familiar with Hunt. I don't know the ins and outs of them. I don't know their hubs configuration. I'm not going to speak on them too much. I think other YouTubers have done videos on them. But the Hunt wheels, these are a 65 millimeter wheel, I believe, which fits this bike perfectly. I would do nothing less. He does have it set up tubeless right now, and they are a Grand Prix 5000 STR 700 by 25C. But yeah, I don't know too much about Hunt wheels. I don't know about their hubs, but they look aesthetically nice. They have a great looking wheel. But yes, for the rotor in the front, we have a 140 millimeter rotor, which is very common in Florida. Great way to shave down weight. We don't have any mountains, so you don't have to really worry about it. They look clean as well. We have a through axle right here, a 12 by 100. This bike does come stock with a threaded bottom bracket. So if you're wondering what kind of configuration you need for a bottom bracket, it is a threaded BSA bottom bracket. He has just a normal stock Shimano on there. And then going on to the other side as well, I like where they hid the junction port for the Di2, which is very cool. You have your this is where you charge the bike at, this is where you adjust your gears. He has 2 Supercaz carbon fiber cages on here, and like I mentioned before, a nice chrome finish as well. For the crank, we have here a Dura-Ace crank, a 9100 crank. It's a 170 crank arm, I believe, with Favero Asimov pedals, but he changed out the chain rings to make it a 54 tooth. So I believe it's a 54 41 tooth chain ring. Massive. I'm not gonna lie to you, it is a very hard gear to do, but like I said, when you get in these group rides at 26, 28 miles an hour, we're only going flat here. We got maybe a bridge to go over the intercoastal. We can climb it, no problem. So this is a normal setup that you guys see here in Florida. You have a 11-speed Dura-Ace chain, and then in the back, it looks like a 1125 Dura-Ace cassette with the old school 11-speed Dura-Ace rear derailleur. My personal opinion, or my personal preference, I wish he did an OSPW, but maybe later on down the road. And then, like I said, you have the Hunt wheel again in the rear. This is the 65 millimeter version of this wheel. I love the look of the Hunt wheels. I like the look of the aesthetics of them, but again, I don't know too much to speak on, so I will leave it alone. You have the bladed spokes, the Hunt hub as well, and then again, a Dura-Ace 140mm rotor in there. You do have a through axle on the back, a 12 by 142, and then you can see a nice shot here. Again, nice T-shades for the rear stays, nice little drop out back here. That's where the rear brake cable comes out of, obviously right there. And then the seat post is an integrated carbon fiber seat post. Gonna give you lots of aerodynamic benefit, and then you have the integrated seat wedge right here. You go ahead and adjust. For the saddle itself, the customer chose a Sella Italia SLR, carbon fiber rails, carbon fiber body, nice wide cutout, super lightweight. It is a dream saddle, but man, bike is beautiful. So the weight I gave you at the beginning of the video was with a rear light, a front light, pedals, and cages, okay? This is pretty normalized for a massively aero bike that looks like a TT bike with 65mm wheels and lights and pedals and cages on it. I mean, we're getting bikes nowadays, $6,000, $8,000 without pedals, without cages, without the mount, without lights, being around that weight. So keep that in mind. But anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Big shout out to the customer for going ahead and letting me bring this by and do a video on it. I will tag his Instagram down below. Again, the frame retail for $3,300. Everything else was kind of custom put on there by the customer. But yeah, I was very fortunate to see this bike in person. I like the look of it. The paint job stands out like crazy. It's been overcast here the past 2 days. When there's no sun out, this thing just looks stealth and looks fast. And then when that sun does come out, that thing looks like it's just an eye catcher. It's definitely a piece you bring to a group ride. People are like, what the hell is that bike? It is a crazy looking bike in person. So very, very cool. Anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Here comes a free buy sound test on these Hunt wheels. Now Dura-Ace. Anyways, guys, we're gonna do this video. I'll see you guys later.